Hi there, my name's Tom Russell, and I've had the privilege of playing rock music and interviewing rock bands for about 45 years here in Scotland, in Glasgow, Scotland mainly. And during the end of my career, not quite retired, but near the end, and I was thinking about all these interviews that I'd done over the years, and so many of them on tape up in the loft or the attic of the house. And I thought it might be a good idea to get them out there for people to hear again. There's interviews from the 80s, 90s, noughties, and there's some fairly up-to-date ones as well. So we've been recording, along with my good friends Scott and Andy from GlasgowApollo.com, we've been recording a series of podcasts. And this week's podcast goes back to 1991. The immense pleasure of interviewing Ozzy Osbourne on quite a few occasions. I think 6, maybe even 7 times I interviewed him. And he's terrific, as you're about to hear if you tuned in to hear Ozzy. He's a pleasure to interview. He's funny, he's knowledgeable, he's far cleverer than people think. And so we're about to hear what Ozzy had to say for himself when the album No More Tears came out back in 1991. Scott and Andy, welcome to Access All Areas, the Tom Russell tapes.
Hello there.
What were you saying there,
Hello,
Scott,
Tom.
before we pressed the record button?
It was just really that I thought that his intelligence really shone through in that, because he particularly when he was describing how they put together the tracks, it was really interesting how he went into the detail. This man knows what he's doing.
I liked the way he said, I would tell him roughly what I want, and I would sort of set things out, and then I'd go away and I'd come back the next day and it was done.
Yeah.
But obviously you'll hear that in the next few minutes.
Yeah.
Andy, you were saying you laughed out loud a couple of times when you listened to the interview.
I did laugh out loud. It's you're both pretty funny.
That's Ozzy was the funny one. I just prompted him.
The other thing that's quite funny.
It was very good.
The other thing that's quite funny, Andy, I don't know if you've noticed it yourself on Tom's background there. He's got this is obviously on the radio, but we're actually recording it for YouTube as well. And Tom's got a boardroom behind you there, Tom.
Well, a studio, I think.
It's a studio. That's a studio. But it looks like you get loads of wee flying saucers running about your head there with these lamps. So we'll listen to the interview.
I think that's a good idea. It was recorded back in 1991. I can't remember where I did this. As I say, I interviewed Ozzy on a number of occasions, and in fact had the immense pleasure of being invited to parties at his house in Buckinghamshire on a couple of occasions. And he talks in this interview about the house he was going to be putting up for sale. And we also did back in those days, back in the 90s, I worked for a couple of years for a Metal Hammer magazine that were launching a series of video magazines, which is what they called it. Basically, you can go into your news agent and you can buy Metal Hammer magazine and read interviews with some of these people, the big rock bands of the day, or you could buy a video for a tenner, which was a lot then. It's not so much now, but back in the early 90s, it was still £10 was a lot of money. But you could buy these videos and you could actually watch the interview, because people like Ozzy, Maiden, Zeppelin, AC/DC, Aerosmith, all these bands, mainstream television were not interested in before MTV, in fact, were not interested in doing interviews with these bands. So you never saw an interview with them. And if you did, it was maybe just a wee 2-minute, 3-minute clip. You didn't get a chance to go in depth. So what I'm trying to say is I did one of the interviews in the house in Buckinghamshire, sitting in a Laura Ashley armchair with Ozzy. And we'll put up on the screen here. I
Cool.
don't know how to do it, but I'm sure you guys will know how to do it. We'll put up on the screen one of my favourite photographs, and it's me and Ozzy sitting together in his front lawn with the house behind us. It's a lovely
Excellent.
picture. So
Fantastic.
rather than me waffle on, it's time. Thank you to everybody for tuning in tonight, and lie back and relax and enjoy Ozzy Osbourne in 1991.
Thank you very much. A lot of people have been saying that, and I'm ever so pleased. I mean, we officially released the album in New York, in America, and a week today ago, and it's just selling like crazy, you know. And everybody keeps coming to me and saying, "Ozzy, this is your most autobiographical album yet." And it wasn't meant to be that way. I just made an album, and it just turned out to be the way it did. I mean, Lemmy from Motorhead helped me with some of the lyrics. He wrote most of the words to the ballad "Mama, I'm Coming Home." He wrote a good half of the lyrics to "I Don't Want to Change the World." He wrote the entire lyric to "A Desire," and Hellraiser he wrote the lyrics to it, and I had a lot of. It was a collaboration. The producer, the two guys that were into my music, that was another problem as well, you know, which I'll talk about later. They contributed a lot of musical input into it, and the band and Randy could see. I mean, drummers never get credit, you know. He came up with the title "No More Tears," you know, and it was a long hard struggle, but at the end of the day we won, you know. We won our fight, because now in America, you know, you go to a producer, you say, are you interested in, like, it's like the top 10 producers, it's like, you know, whoever they may be, you know. So you say, would you be interested in doing my record? And they say, well, send me a tape and I'll let you know. So you send them a demo tape, which you go into a recording studio anyway, and you record like a real rough version. You send them the tape, and they go, "Oh yeah, well we're interested. Keep on writing and sending us tapes." Well, that's just like a dog chasing his tail, as far as I'm concerned.
They're the star.
Yeah. So then they come down and see you, and then they go like, "Well, how about taking this section out here, and can I borrow your guitar, Zach, and playing these chords there, and all you're virtually left with after they've hacked and screwed around with it is the title." And I wouldn't have it, you know. I says, you know, I want someone who you know, I mean, if my track record doesn't speak for itself, then I might as well quit now. If people are starting telling me I'm writing songs wrong, you know, or the people I'm working with are doing. I mean, there was one occasion when the one producer wanted me to fire Zach and the drummer. I mean, you know, get rid of him and we'll do your album. And I said, you know, what is this, you know? You know, until we met John Pardell and Dwayne Barrett, who came along, and they said, what's all this about? These are great songs. They need a little bit of brushing up here and there, and a stretch and a pull here. And we went, and they came along, and John plays keyboards, and he did a lot of the keyboard effects on the record. But now in the studio, it's incredible what you can do in a studio that you can do with. I mean, it's like, I don't know whether I like it or whether I don't. I tried to make this album as raw as I possibly could, you know. I mean, but to keep up with today's standard, you have to have this quality what's going out there, you know. But I mean, when you consider the first Sabbath album was recorded in 2 days. Now it's like 365 years. I mean, this number one single, at the moment, what's it called? Bryan Adams. It took like 5 years to make, you know. You know what I mean? Like when you get married, divorced, and married again by the time you finish a single. I mean, you know, 45 minutes, a single, one song. I don't see that. I mean, I being in the studio for me is like being incarcerated. All I do is I go in and I say, well, put this there, that there, that there, and I'll come back later and see if I like it. Because I hate sitting in the studio, because sitting in the studio, you're brainwashed. You think you like it, and then you take it home, and you don't listen to it for. I go home and I'd get strangers in saying, "Do you like this?" And it would just be backing tracks with no vocals on it, and I could hear the vocal in my head, and the guy would be sitting there looking at me going, like as if I just landed,
Hellraiser from Ozzy Osbourne's new album, No More Tears, and Ozzy's our guest tonight. Autobiographical, is that how you pronounce the word?
Something like
I suppose you were a Hellraiser in the past, but you have calmed down.
I don't know yet. It's yet to be seen on stage, I mean, I haven't done a proper gig. I mean, the Ozzy you see on stage and the Ozzy that you're talking to now are two different people, I mean, the Ozzy you used to see off stage was like pissed all the time, but I don't get pissed so much anymore. I work. For the first time in my life, I'm enjoying my work. Because oh, not another interview. Oh, not another gig. Oh, not another record. But now, I suddenly woke up one morning and I thought, that's what you do, Ozzy. If you want to be a window cleaner, don't be a bricklayer.
That's what you do for a living. And last week, the single No More Tears flying into the charts.
Yeah.
We're going to play it in a minute. Firstly, obviously, you must have been chuffed as hell flying into the charts first week of release.
I mean, that was a lot. There you go. We spent all this time writing the album. We got 3 days left to rehearse, pre-rehearsal, and with Dwayne and John there, the producers, in this room, going through and making notes before we go into the studio. Mikey Arnez has just recently joined the band, and he's got that doo-doo-doo-doo, that riff. And I turned around and I said, I've gone like a double take, I said, that's great. And then John Sinclair come up with the keyboard thing, and the last minute, and then Randy Castillo said, no more tears, and it was like done. And then we worked out the middle section, and that was the last thing to be done. And they all said, oh, it's got to be the first track. And I said, you're mad, it'll never get played. It's got too many diverse changes. It'll never go anywhere with that, I mean, I was thinking of like Mama, I'm Coming Home or something, or I Don't Want to Change the World as a first release. And I said, no. And everybody, I got to be honest, I was totally wrong. I mean, in America, it took off like a bullet. I mean, in England, it's got. I'm still kind of baffled over that one.
Of course, for the 7-inch single, have taken out that middle piece, which, on a previous interview, you told me about being really into the Beatles in your young days.
Yeah.
And really, that middle piece could be from the Beatles' White Album.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't. I left that middle section to the musicians of the band.
Wasn't you?
I mean, I went. I like that. I like this. I said like slow it down at this point. And John Sinclair did the first of all there was just a piano there, and then when I came back they put that pipe organ which was like Fool on the Hill, and I thought, just that's the stuff. And then it was like, it's great,
Mm-hmm. Again, Ozzy, a couple of months ago, you let me hear a couple of tracks from the album, Mr. Tinker Train, and I think it was Mama, We're Coming Home, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And at that time, you were a bit uptight because there was going to be some remixes of things. Have they changed them?
We did end up remixing because they wanted a remix, and see, that's the whole point of when you're in a studio, you're so indoctrinated of what you're hearing, you think that's it. And I become very belligerent and very, my heels are stuck into the ground. Anyway, in the end, I gave in, and Michael Wagner remixed it alongside it with me, you know, because one thing about American heavy metal is they always forget the bass. So it's very bright and poppy, you know, like Poison, or you know, there's no balls there, you know. So I said, more bass. He's German. He got more bass. He said, is that all you think of? Is bass? What about drum? Screw the drums, put the bass up, you know. And I spent I'd go in the day with him, and we mixed the whole thing in 10 days, which was an accomplishment on its own, you know. I'd just go in and I'd stay in, because I mean, at this point now, I'm fire's coming out my ears and eyes, because I'm going mad with this album. It's never going to get finished and whatever, and it's like now I have a breather because now it's done. Now if it's great, fabulous. If it's trash, you know, I can't do nothing about it. You know, all the pressures of it's like. It's, as I said to you before, it must be like a woman who's pregnant. You know, she waits for 9 months, and she hopes and prays that it's all there and it's got everything what's supposed to be there, fingers, thumbs, and toes, and everything, and it's born and it's got there, and whatever comes out, that's what she's got. You know, and that's the way I feel about my record. And the fortunate thing, the great thing about it. It is. I mean, I really am not used to getting so many good reviews. I've had tremendous reviews. And what another thing that I might bring up at this point about this album is that I never read any reviews in the past. I've never read. You know, my wife reads them off the facts every night. I'll walk out the room. But on the last album, No Rest for the Wicked. The only one review that I read was in Rolling Stone, and that review said, "If you are an Ozzy Osbourne fan, you will not be disappointed, but don't look for any surprises." That hit me like a bullet between the eyes, and that's one of the reasons I soul searched and went real deep into. You know, there's so much other stuff he wrote that's on the shelf. You know, Zach's got a zillion riffs, and I've got bits and pieces, and we've all got loads of. We could do another album, you know, in a couple of months, you know.
How about 2 double albums released on the same day?
Yeah, it's already been done, I think. But mind you, though, if you do that, the band falls apart before it even gets out of the shop.
That's Mr. Tinker Train, which is track 1, side 1 on the new Ozzy album, and possibly the one that
It's going to cause a load
in
of
the
crap.
States I'll get you some flack and some publicity, but
No,
do you need it?
But the thing about it is, I've made a point of not making any explanation about any of my lyrics because of the old track Suicide Solution. Whatever you think it is about, you think it's about. You know, the video idea, what we've got for making a video, you will be totally surprised what the video is about. And this will prove a point. The video is nothing to do what most people are obviously going to think it's about. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
I think the melody on the song. In fact, there's at least 5 songs on the album that the melody is the catchiest part of the song, apart from Zach's guitar. I mean, Zach's guitar is just brilliant throughout. It's the best performance he's ever done.
He's come on along. I mean, I think this is fair to say he's going to go on his own after this album. I think it's sad. It's a sad thing that he's going to go, but they go. I'll get somebody else. I'll carry on. I mean, this is. By the way, this is my last Ozzy album as Ozzy Osbourne. I'm going to do some of the. I'm putting Ozzy on the shelf, and I'm going to try and just take a breather and mellow out, and just kind of. Because Mr. Tinker Train, sorry, not Mr. Tinker Train. No More Tears is like the beginning of the new me. It's like that was a very much of an experimental song. So I'm going to do a lot of musical experiments.
Can we talk, Ozzy, just for a couple of minutes about the image in the mid-80s?
Mm-hmm.
After the split from Sabbath, the first couple of albums, which were really happening albums, and then this image that was built up, especially in the States. Two questions about it. One, how deliberate was that, the publicity machine, the building of that image? And two, did it get out of control and become that you couldn't go to a supermarket without somebody photographing you and
Well, it was kind of like Johnny cut his finger, and by the time he got to the top of the street, he cut his throat. So because everybody likes a sensation, and it was my flavour of the month, you know, to coin a phrase. And I must admit, I did milk it somewhat, you know. I mean, because all publicity is good publicity as far as I'm concerned, even if it's bad, you know. And I did have some T-shirts printed at one point saying, "If your day is totally screwed up, blame Ozzy Osbourne." And Ozzy Osbourne, the man your parents love to hate, you know. I even had one, Ozzy Osbourne for president, and things like that, you know.
you just love winding up these poor Americans.
I was poking that finger in the eye, like, "Oh, God damn it!" You know. I mean, when I was in Texas one time, the mayor of Texas gets on the television of the next town, and I picked the channel up on the TV, and this guy gets on the television and he goes, I mean, this is when the brakes came on at a rapid rate, and he goes, "It's every American's right to bear arms. So Ozzy Osbourne's coming through here soon. So let's give him a real Texas welcome," and pulled out this gun. And I said, "Turn the bus around, boys. We're heading for New York," you know.
I think you probably enjoy winding the Americans up more so than the Europeans are.
I mean, you can't wind Europeans up. You're either going to get a headbutt or you ain't, you know. I mean, there's so many religions, there's so many religious cults, and it never occurred to me. I just did a documentary thing. It's coming out and released soon. And it's a real true one. It's not like, you know, being a pop star and how glamorous it was. It's a lot of it real true gut level stuff, which a lot of other people wouldn't like the general public to see. But I said, if it's there and it's happened, let it go, you know. And this one detective said that they can't put. And it never ever occurred to me, and this is only in America that this could happen. And they interview this detective whose prime thing is child suicide. His main job is he investigates child suicide, and he says they can't. It's not in the American Constitution, even if it was done through black magic, because black magic is a religion. And I thought, yeah, it is a religion. Some people actually worship the devil as a religion. It's as sick as it is, they do. I mean, I remember when Black Sabbath first started, I thought it was a load of hoax. You know, I used to see like Vincent Price movies and all those the devil rides out and Witchfinder General. And I used to think it was like science fiction. But you know, and when Sabbath first got going, we had invites to play at black masses, and I thought it was like fancy dress parties and things, and you know, like Halloween nights. But it actually really is a religion, you know. And it's up until hearing that, it's like, wow, yeah, you know. But I mean, believe me, I'm well out of that. I don't want to know, you know. I mean, it's white magic, pink magic, black magic, multicoloured magic.
Zombie magic, which brings us neatly into another track, Zombie Stomp.
Zombie Stomp. I've seen many of them on Socky Holsteridge.
The Socky Hall Street Zombie Stomp there.
That's
from
just
Ozzy
about,
Osbourne.
that's self-explanatory, that is.
Yeah. The sleeve.
of the LP, Ozzy. Can I bring you in on that one? And
The-
we were talking earlier about.
I look
the,
about 19, don't I?
We were talking earlier though about the video for No More Tears. I think with your wee ponytail, you look really cool, to use an American expression. But on the sleeve of the album, you've got a different image, and an angel's wing sticking out your back.
It's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek. It's only a little wing, though. And if you notice, there's no tattoos. It fooled you.
So what does it mean? I mean, what does the wing signify?
You know, the thing about it is that every one of my album sleeves has been Speak of the Devil, this and that, and Ultimate Sin, Blood. And I just said I want a really nice artwork. And I've always wanted gold writing, which they said, oh no, it's too expensive. So they agreed to it, and I just this photographer is amazing. Usually when you go on a photography session for any rock things, you're there from 7 in the morning to 4 the next morning. This guy walked in, he got this camera that looked like he'd rescued from the Boer War, like with an old clanking rusty thing, and he like took 6 shots and that was it. And then he takes the film into his laboratory and works on it, you know. It's in actual fact it's more of a painted photograph than an actual photograph.
And then Ozzy saw the finished thing, thought that looks really good, but I want an angel wing stuck in the corner.
In actual fact, I was looking through my wife was looking through a magazine, and there was a picture of a chick with a little girl with a wing, and I thought, that's just a shame. That would be great, you know. I think it looks pretty neat myself. Really nice album sleeve.
Listen, you've been kind enough to autograph a couple of copies of the album. Have you got a decent question for us that you could set as a competition?
Right. In the beginning of Bloodbath in Paradise on my last album, No Rest for the Wicked, there's some funny talking. It's backward masking. Can you tell me what I am saying on that backward masking?
On Bloodbath in Paradise?
Yeah.
Right. That's the question. Right, that's Mama, I'm Coming Home, and that's another interesting one on the new Ozzy album. And as you said earlier, that's co-written by our old friend Mr. Kilminster.
The lyrics are, but the music was, and the melody was Zach and myself.
Mm-hmm. Tour-wise, Ozzy, you've been widely quoted in the press that you know, touring's no longer the most important part of your life. But are you going to tour with this album? We're going to see you in the UK?
I am leaving this Friday for for Los Angeles to start rehearsals for my next. Well, it's the Tour Till You Drop album, because this is the ultimate. Like I think we're going to call this tour the Final Conflict Tour, and No More Tears. And it's the band's just disappearing after the end. You'll notice on various parts of the album, there's little pieces of country kind of rock kind of sneaks in.
Like the beginning of that one we just listened to.
That's where Zach's gonna go. You'll probably find. He probably wants to like an Allman Brothers kind of deal, which you know. I mean, good luck to him. I mean, I don't know what's. I don't know. I have got no immediate plans. I'll do something musically. I want to cut the touring down somewhere. I want to be a dad a bit more. I say that now, but I spent 3 weeks at home, and I want to be on the road for the rest of my life. You know, the kids are. I mean, we just bought a new dog, and the puppy dog, and little puppy dogs leave little puppy messages in every room, and he's like, my carpet,
You're wandering about the house in your bare feet.
I know, it's terrible when it goes cold as well.
As far as the tour's concerned, though, is there provisionally British dates? I mean, what sort of month are we talking about?
I can't give you any dates. I start in Japan in October, and then it's all go. I definitely will be playing England and or Europe and whatever. I was just shall we say bollocked the other day by somebody in Europe for saying England and Europe because now
Well, you could get bollocked from somebody in Scotland for saying that.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's Britain. What is it now? I'm so confused. Are we all Europe or Britain or what?
Who cares?
Who gives a shit?
Is there a possibility, is there the remotest possibility that you might drop Paranoid as the encore for this next tour?
I don't know. I mean, if I drop it as the encore, I won't drop it at the set because that's a song that will never die. In fact, I've just heard through the grapevine it's just been re-released on another remote label of one of my ex rip-off managers who owns the rights to it, on something like, I don't know, whatever label he's on.
I just wondered about you're concentrating on a new career, a fresh start, a new direction. I just wondered if it perhaps it's had its day.
When I say it's like a new. This is another chapter. I mean, first of all, I had Black Sabbath. I thought when Black Sabbath fired me, I thought, all right. I had 10 years of a piss up and a laugh and I slept with a few groupies and I didn't have to get up at 9, go to work at 9 to 5, and I didn't, and I slobbed around the country. Plus, okay, it's back to the doll queue. I had another go. It got bigger and better. So I'm having another go, and whatever happens, I mean, we're talking like 3 or maybe 4 years up the road, because I'm going to go on the road as long as the album is alive, and as long as the kids still still there, and it's not costing me an arm and a leg, because now, I mean, everything costs twice as much, and the recession and all that bullshit what I keep hearing about, and the poll tax and all this tax and all that. When these politicians learn how to play guitar and whatnot, at the end of it, I'll sit down and I'll just think, just have a little chance to think. I mean, I want to sell my house in Buckinghamshire because it's too big. It's too big. I mean, that was my ego that bought that house. I mean, I always wanted to be like a country squire, so I've been a country squire. So I'm going to buy a house which is more of a family house, and the cost of you came over the other week. I mean, you can imagine the cost of running that house. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, old houses have old problems, and old problems have big bills because it's on green belts. You can't cut a tree down if it's going to fall on your house, and because it's on the green belt, or whatever. It's this country's got so many weird things. It's of historic value. That boulder that's just about to topple off that cliff, which is right above your house, it was there when King Henry IV took a piss,
Was it a Henry IV?
You know what I mean? You can't do anything, you can't touch anything. And yet everybody else around us can extend and rebuild. We can't touch that house because it's in a doomsday book or whatever that means. I mean, I suppose when the world ends, our house will be still standing.
Track we're going to play out, and then Ozzy, and I know you've got a lot to do, so thanks for talking to us and
It's always a pleasure, always.
We're going to play out with I Don't Want to Change the World.
Yeah.
Which is a good track. But just before you tell us briefly about that track, what pops into your head quickly is the funniest thing that happened during the tumultuous recording of No More Tears?
Oh, I mean, the lyric, in actual fact, the lyric that Lemmy wrote, which I love. Lemmy is the funniest man lyrically in the world. I mean, I've never been I've never been an avid Motorhead fan, but he writes some funny lyrics.
Pity normally you can't hear them.
I mean, one of the lyrics on that song is, they tell me I'm a sinner, I've got news for you. I spoke to God this morning and he doesn't like you. And I thought that was so funny. And now in America, they're going to go, hey man, this guy now thinks he can speak to God. You know what I mean? It takes a piss, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he read me some of his lyrics on one of his albums, and all the song was about was a jacket. I mean, he wrote a song about a jacket, you know. I mean, the guy's great.
Yeah, that new album with some really poignant lyrics from 1916, for example.
Well, that's in actual fact when I went. That's how we came to the work together. I mean, Lemmy and I have fallen out of many a beer tent at rock festivals and bars, and I've met him in like Lemmy never falls down. Lemmy, I mean, he'll go, Ozzy, you know, pick me up, you know, and whatever. But he's always got a glass in his hand, and he just continuously drinks, never gets pissed, and never falls down. And I'm thinking, this guy's like, is he glued to the floor or something? Because nobody can drink as much bourbon, but he never falters with his speech. He never starts talking. I think this guy he's either got like cast iron liver or something. So I go down to his house. My wife says, lives in Los Angeles now. I said, where's he live? And she finds out his address, and I go around to his apartment, and he's got his line of empty bourbon bottles on the window frame. Must be like 35 empty different bottles of bourbon. And he says to me, tell me what you think of these lyrics, what I've just written for my new album. And he read me the lyrics for 1916. I said, you wrote those? He says, yeah. I said, you're kidding. I said, what are you bothering with rock and roll for? Write books, man. I said, as it happens, Lemmy. I mean, because me, I'll get like, I'll spend a month on like what goes with sin, bin, din, and he just, you know, writes some like it comes off the top of his head, you know. I mean, in actual fact, he wrote a ton more than I never used, you know.
Is he involved in this track we're going to play it with?
Pardon?
Is Lemmy involved with this song we're going to play out?
I don't want to change the world. Yeah, yeah. He wrote half the lyrics.
Right. Let's hear it. Ozzy, thanks again. Look forward to seeing you on tour.
All right.
The final Ozzy Osbourne tour.
Okay.
But it's not going to be the final album that you're involved in.
No, not at all.
Thank you again.
All right, God bless.
Well, that was a terrific interview, Tom. You didn't say very much, mate.
That's the secret of a good interviewer.
Absolutely.
Michael Parkinson would tell you that as well. Ask a question and then shut up.
Yeah, but he definitely his voice sound had he been drinking? No.
No,
his voice
he always every interview I did with him is that sort of slur.
Slurring, yeah. But
I
he
don't
comes
know-
across not as I expected at all. I mean, well, that's not entirely true because I've seen him interviewed before and he's obviously smart. But it's not his public image, is it?
Not at all. And he talked quite nicely there in the interview about his public image and how he had carefully nurtured it, and all publicity is good publicity, he said. But there was a couple of bits I took a wee note about. When he says, Johnny's cut his finger, and by the time it got to the end of the street, it's gone. Johnny's cut his throat by the time the story was told half a dozen times.
Yes. Very good. The bit. First of all, Tom, I mean, can you remember? You said you can't remember where you recorded it, but he must have been. Was he on a tour or was it an album thing he was doing? Was it a promotion?
It was an album launch.
Right.
When I listened to the quality of it, I don't think that one was done with a portable. That it sounds the recording quality is too good, so I'm pretty sure that one was done probably in a recording studio somewhere in London.
Yes,
the record company will take me down to that.
right. The thing that immediately jumped. There was quite a few things actually, but one of the things that I'd not heard, or I don't remember him saying, he said this is going to be my final tour. And I was thinking, it was 91, so it was a bit early for the Osbournes, because he was clearly indicating he had aspirations to do different things, wasn't he?
I think he'd already started recording the Osbournes.
Had he? Right, okay.
I can't remember that, but in the interview there, if you'd listen back, he says, "Yeah, I've been doing this thing, filming this sort of documentary series. It's going to be Fly on the Wall," and then he talks about his dog crapping all over the place, and I remember that being in one of the very early.
Right, okay, I remember that as well.
They stood in the crap. And he says in the interview, he says it's not very nice when it's cold.
Oh, it's horrible, isn't it?
No.
It's horrible. But I wonder, it's amazing because it became a worldwide phenomenon, that TV show, and changed him and Sharon from him being an international rock star to them both being, media stars. Gosh, it's quite an incredible change because that's right on the cusp of it then, isn't it? If that's when he just started recording it.
It might have been a year or two later it started out, because they probably recorded the first few episodes over a period of time. In fact, I seem to remember they did some of it in the UK and some of it in their Los Angeles home.
Yes, I'm going to have to go back and watch it again, because now that we've got that interview as a moment in time, I want to go back and just remember, because I did watch it for a while. I have to say I fell out with it a bit near the sort of at the end of one of the series. I can't remember which one, but I'm going to go back and watch it, and I hope others do the same, because it would be quite nice to set it in context of time.
Yeah.
For Ozzy.
There was another bit I meant to say that we were talking about him. Talking about the publicity machine and the image that he created, when he says, I milked it somewhat. All publicity is good publicity.
Yeah.
And then he told the story about the only problem was it just got totally out of hand. In fact, we were on tour in America, and there's a mayor in Texas who announced to everyone that Ozzy Osbourne's coming to town. So every American has a right to bear arms.
Yeah.
Let's give Ozzy a real Texas welcome. So Ozzy announces to the bus driver, "Turn the bus round. Boys, we're heading back to New York."
Yeah.
That was typical of when Ozzy speaks. He speaks reasonably slowly, and people, non-knowledgeable people, would possibly think he's a little bit slow-witted. But when he told that story, it's the opposite. The way he said, "Turn the bus round, boys, we're heading to New York."
Other things that jumped out, been slightly scattergun here, but the other thing that I'd forgotten, because I must have known this at the time, but the fact that he'd worked so closely with Lemmy.
Yes, I had forgotten that as well, especially in the album. Was it about 4 or 5 of the songs were co-written with Lemmy? Mama, I'm Coming Home, Hellraiser, Desire, Don't Want to Change the World. And he talks so glowingly about Lemmy's lyrics.
Yeah, and there's also the famous Lemmy TV documentary, and it doesn't really paint that sort of picture of Lemmy. So I thought that was interesting as well, because in the doc, I don't know if you remember the documentary, it's probably behind me on the shelf actually. Lemmy's just playing a fruit machine and drinking, and there's not an awful lot of depth, but it reminded me, and it was you that raised it. It was 1819, that song, is it, the Motorhead song?
1960.
Got the number wrong.
It was the First World War.
First World War.
I went back and listened to it. I tell you what, the lyrics are fabulous.
I dig it out every year in November, and I play it on the radio around about the time of the armistice, the Poppy Day, etc.
Yeah.
It's terrific lyric.
Absolutely fantastic. So he wasn't as daft as he behaved sometimes, a bit like Ozzy, I guess.
Lemmy was a big collector. He was really into collecting First and Second World War memorabilia, units and uniforms and things. I don't think people slagged him off because of it. I don't think it was necessarily macabre that
No.
word? Cabra.
Yeah.
I think he was just interested.
Interesting. Did you interview Lemmy? You must have done.
Yes, a few
Yeah.
times. It was very hard to interview, to be honest.
Really?
I found him. He was fine, but he wasn't. He didn't suffer fools gladly, is
Right.
is the perfect saying. And if you hadn't done your homework impeccably before the interview, Lemmy would let you know.
Right.
The very first time I interviewed him, Lemmy, must have been early 80s. I'm not sure what year it was. I'm sure I'll be able to find the interview and we'll put it out in this series. But it was going to be a live interview. They were playing in Glasgow, and it was when Brian Robertson was in the band.
Yeah, remember that.
Oh, yeah.
So the arrangement was made with the record company for them to come in live after they had performed. So my Friday Rock show at the time started at midnight. So around about 20 past midnight, the security guy buzzed through and says, "That's your guests arrived, Tom." Oh, smashing. Just send them through. So Lemmy and Brian came through, and, said hello while the record was playing, and sat down at a table, and record finished. And just as I started the interview, I would say that was such and such a record. Well, I've been joined by a couple of guests who had just been working earlier this evening, probably at the Glasgow Apollo, and they've got a new album out, and I'm just doing this, getting ready for the interview. And as I'm speaking, I can't remember, it was either Brian or Lemmy went into his pocket and brought out this little tin and opened the tin and passed it to his compatriot, and the two of them took a little pinch of, looked like sort of white powder, live on the radio. And I thought, oh no, that's my career ended.
Yeah.
Brian handed it over, offered me, and I said, no, thank you. No, I'd rather have a pint of heavy.
Yeah. But they definitely lived, those two. I mean, I remember seeing them actually. I think it was at the Playhouse rather than the Apollo, but things are all a bit muddy now memory wise. And it was a fabulous gig, but they were really loud, and it was quite hard to hear. You actually said it in the interview. You said it in the background at one point. You couldn't hear the lyrics because they were playing it so loud. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but it's really interesting how Ozzy brought that in, and it made me go back and listen to the tracks, which was quite nice. I hope other people do the same.
I found it good when he talked about the difference from the late 60s, early 70s recording process to where they were in 1991. For example, he said the first Black Sabbath album took 2 days. 2 days to record.
One of the greatest albums of all time.
Nowadays, they wouldn't even get the bass drum sound in 2 days. By now.
Incredible.
And he also talked about producers, and he was a bit disparaging about some producers that would come in and they would take the song and they'd say, all right, it'd be okay if you did this and you did that and you took out that. And before you knew where you were, it was a totally different song. And then they would say, see the guitarist, he's not very good, Zach Wilde.
I know, way. It's funny.
And Ozzy, I can't remember how he put it, but I think he politely showed that producer the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it had been a snapshot because he was saying the band were going to go on to different things. And I mean, I think, is Zach not still in the band? There was a few came and went, but I think Zach's back in the band again, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I think he says Zach is going to be doing something like a sort of Allman Brothers.
Yeah.
Well, it's
launched his
Black
band.
Label Society.
Yeah.
Like a very, very dark Allman Brothers.
A heavy
Very heavy.
Yeah.
Heavy. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, again, Zach live was amazing. I mean, it was very difficult to follow, Randy and JK and all these other guys that were in the band, but And I've seen Zach quite a few times, mainly with his own band, and he is a really good performer. I mean, he's really good. He looks the part as well, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. I've got a good photograph of posing with Zach. As I said, I think last week, I regret not getting more photographs taken with some of the artists. But I've got a good one I was talking about with Ozzy standing in his or sitting in his front lawn, and I've got a good one of Zach as well.
Have you?
The studio, so we'll put that up.
Oh, that'd be great.
He talked about the song "Mr. Tinker Train," and asked him to sort of talk about what it was about, and he says since the Suicide Solution came out, I just don't like to talk about the lyrics. I'd rather leave it to people.
Yes.
Because remember, he gets sued for Suicide Solution.
And I mean, again, this is. I mean, maybe this is one of the. I mean, we've talked about this before. The lack of coverage that a lot of these bands got, despite the fact they were some of the biggest bands in the world at the time, and they still are. And I think the lyrical thing is really interesting because people confuse dark music with dark lyrics. They always think they have to be the same, but they're just not. There's so many times they're he talked about Lemmy writing a song about a jacket or something, didn't he? And and I think people sometimes just make assumptions because the music might be quite dark. The lyrics are dark, and they're really not. I mean, Sabbath were accused of that so many times, and yet if you listen to most of the songs, they were just nonsense drinking songs. There was nothing to. Well, there was some of them weren't, but a lot of them were. And it was all about the riff. It wasn't about the lyric.
He talks about. I thought that was one of the funniest bits of the interview. When he talked about in the early Sabbath days, they used to get invites to play at black masses because of Black Sabbath.
I didn't know
and
that.
Ozzy thought it was all a big joke. He thought it was a fancy dress party they were going to play at.
Yeah.
The part where he's talking, I think he was talking to a journalist or something, and the journalist, and they said, it was about a lawyer. I think it was a lawyer, and he's saying, you can't ban this stuff because devil worshipping is a religion. And he says something like, "Oh, this is a religion," or something like that. And I was going, "Well, there you go."
Yeah.
He's just saying it in a conversation with you, Tom, and he's be getting sued every other day for being a devil worshipper, or he's got that, he's playing up to the image, like you said, but he obviously has no truck with devil worshipping at all.
No.
I liked about when I asked him about one of the tracks, and during the interview, I'd asked him about a few of the different tracks on the album. When I asked him about Zombie Stomp,
Yes.
Quick as a flash, he says, "I've seen many a zombie stomp in Sauchiehall Hall Street in Glasgow on a Saturday night."
Yeah.
And that just shows you how fast his brain works.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
If you're not a Glasgow local, that is a pleasant avenue in the middle of town.
Yeah.
Did either of you get the competition question? The answer for it?
No, I did not. No.
I mean, I'd totally forgotten that, and no doubt we drew out a couple of prize winners on the radio at the time, but I can't remember the answer. The question they asked was No Rest for the Wicked album. At the beginning of the song Bloodbath in Paradise, there's some funny talking. Can you remember? Can you hear what I said? So I must dig out. I've got the album somewhere. So I must dig.
It was a backwards track, wasn't it?
Yes.
It's so, again, it's just Ozzy, that, because he's doing that obviously because of all the abuse he got from the American media, certain parts of the American media. I don't know, I haven't listened to it, but I would imagine it'll be something completely ridiculous, just poking fun at these people that gave him such a hard time.
Yeah.
One of the things that I used to do back in the day when I knew that I was going to be doing an interview, I would maybe, when I was on the radio the week before, I'd maybe say to the listeners, if anybody's got a specific question, I'm interviewing Ozzy Osbourne or whoever for next week's show, and they get a specific question for them, get a piece of paper, write a question on it, put it in an envelope, write the address of the radio station and lick a stamp. Put the stamp on the envelope and post your question in to me. Younger listeners and viewers will be thinking, what's he talking about?
You've lost them, mate. You've lost them completely. Well, do you know, I reminded you this before, Tom, but I sent you a note because you're Tom Russell after all. And I sent you a note and I asked you if you'd get me an autograph from Ozzy. And downstairs, I've got this massive collage of all my tickets. You know, there's probably 1,000 tickets on it, Tom. And right in the middle, on a beer mat, it's had the front of it ripped off, is To Scott from Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, that's nice.
I've got it downstairs.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so cool. And I remember when I got it, Tom, because you used to mention me and Andy and Kenny and Ian and Norman on the radio quite a lot. And I remember when I got it through the post on the Radio Clyde, you know, letterheaded envelope, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I could not believe it. And I've treasured that. You know, I kept it in a book for years because I was terrified about it getting damaged.
Mhm.
And now it's behind glass, so it's completely safe, but it's surrounded by hundreds of other concert tickets, but it's right in the middle, Tom.
Oh, that's lovely. Why I was telling you that,
Yeah.
that story was I knew I was going to be interviewing Ozzy a week before, so I did that on the radio the Friday before. And one of the questions that someone sent in, can't remember who it was, is it time to drop Paranoid from your set?
Ah, yes.
We're all fed up hearing it. Now, I didn't feel that personally, but I was just asking them the listener's question just to see what reaction. And he basically says, well, no, we might drop it as the encore, but it's a song that it'll never die. And I think he's probably right. He's right. He's
Absolutely
right.
right. It's still used in movies. It still comes up on YouTube regularly.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's still very much a live song.
Now, I know the answer to the question now, Tom.
Oh,
The question of what was backmasked. Are you ready for this?
We're
It's-
ready.
can't wait.
Your mother sells whelks in Hull. That's it.
That's
It's
brilliant.
better than selling mussels in Oban.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, don't know.
So
Yeah,
I
but-
can imagine the
yeah.
American listeners and viewers to this podcast will be saying, "What's that guy talking about? Your
Exactly.
mother? What?
What's a whelk?
Exactly.
Where's Hull?"
And what is Hull? And what is Hull?
Of course, you know that's also a cheeky nod to the film The Exorcist.
Yes.
The way that's
Oh,
because
yes,
it's your mother.
yes, it
Yeah,
is.
so that's
Your
exactly
mother,
what that
yeah,
is. So again,
right.
he's been thinking about
Yeah.
that as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
How did you find that, Andy? Did you just look it up as we were chatting, or did you listen?
Yes, I did. I looked up list of backmasked songs,
Wow.
Excellent.
and that was one of them.
That's
The things that are on the internet.
Really,
Oh, I know.
it's fascinating how fast that sort of thing can be done. At the time of the recording of this interview in 1991, obviously the internet was just that hadn't been invented. It was just a dream, I think, wasn't it?
It was mainly military at that point. There was
Yeah,
some
yeah.
military internet, there was internets rather than internet at that point, Tom.
I like the bit when he talks about, he says, when Sabbath fired me, I thought, well, I've had a great 10 years, great fun, a lot of good laughs, slept with a few groupies. Now it's back to the dole queue. But I had another go, and
Yeah.
it got bigger and better.
It did.
And now I'm having another go.
Yeah.
And if it works, fine. If it's not, I've had a great life.
Yeah.
And that was over 30 years ago he was saying that, and he's still
Still at it.
Still there.
But he did. I mean, the reinvention of Ozzy was quite amazing, wasn't it? I mean, he was a mess, and I mean, the last Sabbath album was awful, and it was all falling apart. And then he suddenly brings out, well, I would argue 2 better albums, and even better than any Sabbath album. Maybe not the first one, but the rest certainly. The first 2 Ozzy albums are incredible, you know, and he just went to megastar at that point, which was amazing. And then Sabbath got better as well, I think. You know, so it was a win-win-win with Dio coming in and but yeah, it's testament to him. And I mean, I've seen, I think I've got them actually. I've got photographs backstage at the Apollo with Ozzy and Sharon and Randy. The whole madness of it all. I mean, I just can't relate to it. I mean, you've obviously seen these people, Tom, and met them and looked them in the eye. But that sort of wildness that he had, certainly in the 80s, maybe not in 1991, but that wildness. Do you think it still kicks about? Do you think there's still people like that in rock and roll?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so as well.
One word answer. Yes.
Yeah.
Probably not as much.
Right.
And probably the ones that have lasted a few years and are still around, that were maybe into all sorts of mischief back in the day, probably I would say the mischief is a lot less. It's going on stage, it's a bottle of water, you know, you got my
It's
bottle of water.
Yeah.
The Def Leppard guys, they all have a wee snifter, a wee, I can't remember, I think it's a single malt that they all have before they go on stage, but that's it, you know, just a wee livener.
Right.
What one's not going to harm.
Again, he said that in the interview, didn't he? He said that about Lemmy. He said he would drink a bottle of whiskey and he wouldn't even be drunk. He wouldn't slur a word. He wouldn't fall over. I mean, and Bon Scott was like that as well, wasn't he? These guys just had this sort of iron constitution. I mean, it's like
till the end.
Till the end. Yeah, till the end. I mean, I guess Lemmy did better than Bon Scott in terms of longevity, but it's interesting because you can't imagine now drinking. I mean, Bon used to drink a whole bottle of Jack Daniels before he went on stage. Then he would open a second one. I mean, you can't even imagine how these guys did it. And Ozzy certainly did it.
It's another good story about Lemmy. I think I've told you before. One of the times in the early days, certainly in the 80s, Lemmy came up to do an interview, and it was midweek, and we recorded the interview in Glasgow and finished the interview maybe 8 o'clock, something like that. And said, thank you very much, we're packing up. And I says to Lemmy, where are you off to now? And he says, I'm just back to the hotel. I'm staying at the Albany Hotel. So I said, I'll drop you off. He says, anywhere to go for a pint? I'm thinking, I think it was a Tuesday night. And I'm thinking, where am I going to take Lemmy for a pint on a Tuesday night? I suppose we could just go to the Albany Hotel, you know, sit in the lounge bar, have a pint of gassy lager. And I thought, oh, wait a minute. I know. The Dial-In. Dial-In has live bands 7 nights a week at that time. There'll be a live band on there. Dial-In was a pub in Glasgow right next to the Odeon, just off Renfield Street. And we went to the Dial-In, walked in, wasn't particularly busy, maybe a third or a quarter full. And there was a band setting up in the corner. One or two people looked over, probably didn't recognise me. We're talking about the 80s. My face wasn't known. That's some guy that worked in the radio. But Lemmy. And you could see one or two people looked up and going, bloody hell, that guy looks like Lemmy. No, Glasgow on a Tuesday night, can't possibly be. Yeah. And so we just sat down, had 2 pints, band started playing, half an hour, and Lemmy says, right, time I was getting to my bed. So I took him back to the Albany. And years later, I was in the Barrowland at a gig. I was in the toilet, doing what men do in the toilet. I'm standing there, and the guy standing next to me, he says, hey, you're Tom Russell, aren't you? I said, hi. He says, can I have a word? And I'm halfway through my pee. Oh no, what's happening here?
Oh dear, yeah.
But yeah, he very graciously allowed me to finish my pee, and then I'm standing back waiting for the assault. He says, can you tell me, see, back in the early 80s, this, by the way, is about 2012, 2015, something like that. Yeah. He says, back in the early 80s, did you and Lemmy come into the Dial-In for a pint? I had actually forgotten the story. So I said, bloody yes, we did actually. He says, I knew it. Do you know I was the drummer in the band that night?
You're joking.
And he says,
Cool.
I've told people for years that we
Yeah.
played a set in the dial-in and Lemmy sat and watched us, and nobody believes me.
Excellent.
Excellent.
I hope he's watching this or listening to this.
Aye.
That actually has come up in the Apollo group as well, Tom.
That story.
Yeah, we've heard that story before, and
Aye.
we've heard variations on it where, I mean, of course, people's memories go with time, but he was playing the Puggy, the fruit machine, and folk were watching, think that's Lemmy on the fruit machine, and there was similar. I remember that a few times. So that's a legendary moment that you've just clarified.
Oh, he might well have played the fruit machine.
Yeah.
I can't remember that.
Very good.
I mentioned earlier about the house in Buckinghamshire that we went to record.
Oh, yes.
The Hard and Heavy interview, and Sharon was fussing about making us cups of tea and wee cucumber sandwiches and things. It was as we were recording this video interview, myself and Ozzy. It was in a place called Little Chalfont in Buckinghamshire, and in the interview there he talks about it. He says, "I always wanted to be a country squire, but the house is just too big." So I'm putting it up for sale. And he talks about the green belt, and he says it's so difficult to get anything done. You want to cut a tree down, and you're not allowed to. And then he tells the story. He says, and there's a stone there, and the stone's just about to fall onto somebody's car, but you can't move it because King Henry IV took a piss, and the stone can't be moved. And I thought that was one of the best stories of that interview.
Yeah, it was very good. Very British as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're nearing the end of this first series of our
Yeah.
podcast, guys. We've still got another couple to go, but I'm thoroughly enjoying, and I'm so happy with it. The fact that we're getting these interviews out there, so that people who want to hear what Ozzy Osbourne was having to say back in 1991, or Eddie Van Halen, or David Coverdale, or Angus Young, and there's lots more to come, lots more interviews. I just hope we don't run out of things to say.
I don't think that's going to happen,
I
Tom.
doubt it very much.
Well, that's about it for the Access All the Areas Tom Russell tapes for this week. Fascinating interview with Ozzy Osbourne. I've got other interviews I did over the years with Ozzy, which we will feature in weeks and months to come in this series of podcasts. Please get in touch with us and tell us whether whether perhaps you've just listened to this as your first one, or if you listened to a few of the podcasts. We're certainly enjoying recording them. Andy, Scott and I from GlasgowApollo.com. Not sure who we're going to have next week, but we'll certainly have something interesting. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and have a great week. Ta-ra. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this podcast. We've got lots more already recorded and lots more still to do. I've been rummaging in my loft, in my attic, on a regular basis. So if you'd like to subscribe, it costs you nothing. Just press the button that says subscribe, and we'll tell you when the next one's coming up. Thanks for watching and listening.